Welcome to the Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano. Airing live on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Wednesday night segment of The Outer Realm. We are broadcasting live here in the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM from the beautiful city of New Orleans. Outer Realm is fully sponsored by the amazing folks over at Folgers Coffee. Thank you, Folgers. We love you and could not do it without you. Also, a huge thank you to Dr. Snick, a.k.a. Justin Snicker, for his sponsorship and contribution of his time and music for our intro and outro. He is an award-winning composer of Halloween horror, sci-fi, and dark wave electronic music, so check him out anywhere that you can download music. Bandcamp, Spotify, iTunes, Amazon, you name it, he is there. Tonight, we welcome Jim. I really hope I'm not going to butcher your name, Jim. Jim Girouard or Girouard. I don't know. I'm going to have to ask him to clarify.
Girouard.
Okay.
Girouard. I actually had to look that up.
Okay. We have to sound that out, but
yes.
he's amazing. You guys are going to love him. He's going to be discussing divination, Bible codes, time travel. Just a really awesome guy. So I think you guys are really going to dig him. I know we certainly do. In order to participate, however, into tonight's show, you're going to have to head over to, let's see, where are we on tonight? International Public Radio, YouTube, UFO Paranormal Radio. We've got our usual Facebook, UFO Paranormal, Canada's Most Haunted, Outer Realm, Joe Montaldo, UFO Uncover, News on the Flip Side. So we can see all of your chats here on the soundboard. So feel free just to jump on any one of those. And of course, newsflash, do not forget, as I know I talked about this last week, now only on UFO Paranormal Radio YouTube, there is a new membership section. Why do we want to know this? Because there's going to be good stuff on it. It is the only place that you can find any of the archives for the Gray Zone Uncensored with Joe and I. A lot of the hosts are coming on and doing a lot of really special stuff just for members. And of course, a lot of the old archives are going to be up there, not just for us, but for many shows. And some of these shows are not even on the network anymore. So a lot of really good content. So, get yourselves over there. Show them some love. Become a member. Don't just subscribe. So, hello. How's it going?
Good.
See the chat rooms filling up. Good.
Zachman, Michelle, Tamara. Hello.
Hello, indeed. So, it's Wednesday. It's
and it feels like Monday.
It does. An update feels like a Monday. It's not that terrible.
Last week, I kept saying, Michelle, it's Friday, right? And it's like Tuesday. It's Wednesday. It's
I know. It's like, what? Wow. I know.
January was a long year.
You're not wrong. February is starting to look a little bit like it as well.
Yeah.
But
that gopher's a liar.
I'm waiting for the nice weather. You know what? I actually saw robins about a week ago here, and it's like freezing. It's snowing. They're thin little things. They're a month early at least. They're not gonna. I don't think they'll survive it unless they're really tough little things. But
somebody wrote about that because you mentioned it.
Yeah.
Last week, and they said, we feed, I think it was in the chat room, we feed them year round, but you had mentioned they don't eat seed. So
to my knowledge, they don't eat seed.
Unless you're going to the pet store to get bugs.
Or worms or something. They will eat things like pet food and stuff like soft food, things like that, from what I understand. So, we've been keeping some close by anyway, just in case, but it's like, oh my gosh, it's sort of sad. But on another whole note, but just been working my little fingers to the bones and doing some research and finding some like amazing people, who were interested in coming on the show, and others we do seek out and reach out because we get requests. So then we take those requests very seriously, and we go out and say, okay, these are the topics that people want to see covered. So we're going to go out and find people who can fit the bill, and get our listeners feeling happy that we actually listened to their request. And I can't say it right now, but we have they're all amazing, but this guest here is just like, personally one that I have followed for a really long time. Just saying.
Those are always the best.
I know,
every guest is amazing, but when you've been following someone
and you have that
opportunity to sit down and have a conversation with them,
I know,
the way and it's such an honor.
And it's not paranormal. It's not ufology. It's not ancient history. It's something freaking magnificent.
Everybody thinks we're this paranormal show because
we're not
of what
really.
you
we're
do
everything.
and what I do, but no.
It's outside of the box. It's outer realm. It's things that are, awareness, knowledge, right? We learn things, you learn things, the people we bring on learn things, and we all have a lot of fun. So I think that's really important. Just like tonight's guest is going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to it. When he approached me, it was super interesting because he's very knowledgeable, but it was kind of like all over the place. I'm just like,
it's kind of like me.
Yeah, like he'll fit right in.
It's Tuesday, it's Wednesday,
right
Friday.
Yeah. So it's like, this is going to be outstanding.
It's an effect of a great mind. That's what they say.
Sure,
people who are squirrely are very intelligent. I'm like, there's just too much there. That's what I think it is. I wasn't always like this, so it's a little bit weird for me too.
But when I say, so what are we going to talk about? And it goes, oh, this is this or this. We can do this. We can do this. I'm just like, all right.
We'll just let you talk.
Everything.
We'll just let him speak. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Tell his story.
Well, we do try to do that too. We just try to make it all about our guests so they can talk about anything.
He's got some good ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, speaking of it, do you want to go ahead and read the bio and then we can bring him on?
I thought you were going to say the Bible. I'm like, no,
we're going to talk about that.
I don't think you better not go there. Any of my teachers listening, I wasn't paying attention. Our guest tonight, Jim, is an award-winning artist, songwriter, and author of 3 published books on Amazon. He has invented a divination method using lettered dice, and I have those, so I can't wait to ask, and teach the method online, starting with a palm reading. They buy the dice and do the dice throws at home, send him the letters, and he decodes them and sends the reading. How cool is that?
Very cool.
He received a night vision in 1970 and was warned by this revelation to avoid loans, banks, and corporations. And he never had a credit card or took out a loan. That alone is the book of records. Never established a credit history and never went into debt. He stayed under the radar and never went to college, joined the military, or started a business. And bought everything he owns with cash that was saved up over the years. I already like him.
I know. I bet
like
there's a million people out there going, why do you think of that?
Yes, it's the way I work. But anyways, please welcome Jim. And I'm going to say Girouard.
Oh, you're muted.
Microphone.
Your microphone is muted. Yeah, you have to unmute your microphone. Here, maybe see if I can do it.
Hi, Lisa.
Yeah, you're muted. Hi, Lisa. Yeah.
You have to
unmute your mic.
No, I think he's clicking on the mic at the bottom.
There
you are. How do we pronounce your name?
Girouard.
Here we are.
Easy.
I googled it. I had the
it.
pronunciation. Girouard. Really?
She's
and
Italian.
Then you come and
French.
just say Girouard.
It's a French name, and the original name was Girouard.
Yes.
Giroir. And, my parents immigrated here from Canada, and their ancestors were from France. And when we did a blood test a year or so ago, we found out that we're mostly British.
Right? There's a lot of the French are. I've got some Brit in me, and I've got all those lineages in France. It's just like, how'd that happen? So
Yeah, I mean, the United States is like the melting pot of Europeans.
Yeah,
true.
so is Canada.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
true. It's a whole melee of like
Yeah, I
amazing
mean,
stuff.
French, Irish, Italian.
Yeah,
Yeah.
here too.
Voodoo.
When you Google the pronunciation and you listen for the sound, it is a French pronunciation. And we were like, we do not want to butcher his name. It's like,
I
how
know.
do you say this
Girouard. I
properly?
thought I had it right
Girouard.
because I'm French. That's like, did I get
Girouard.
it right?
Yeah.
Well, you can get a little rough if you want. I just won't tell anybody.
Okay. No, never mind. There are like, a couple of million people listening. So that's okay. So how are you?
Good. I'm feeling real good tonight, and I'm glad to be on.
Oh,
Thanks
yeah.
for inviting me. Really.
Oh, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure. It's we've been looking forward to it because you
Yes.
just seem to have, you had me at, of course, deciphering Bible codes, divination, time travel. It's like it's just a mix of like amazing things that all of our listeners love. So why don't we start with humble beginnings, and then you can take it in any direction that you'd like, and we'll follow along and jump in every now and then.
Okay. I know there's a big interest in time travel, and
Yes.
I'd like to talk about that. But
Okay.
I also want to say that there's really two aspects to time travel, and there's actually a spiritual aspect to it, which has to do with a goddess by the name of Kalratri.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Have you ever heard of Lord Shiva?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe you've heard of goddess Kali.
Yes.
Okay, Kalratri is similar to goddess Kali.
Okay.
She's an avatar of Lord Shiva. She's the female aspect of Lord Shiva.
Right. Which is very cool.
She controls time.
Okay.
She's the goddess of time. She can rewind time. She can go forward. She can freeze it. And she can change events in time.
Wow. That sounds like an amazing gift. I think a lot of us would love.
She's an obscure figure. Her name doesn't come up very often in the history books or anywhere really. Like most people know who Shiva is.
Yes.
He's the guy with the snake around his neck, and he's got the crescent moon,
Mm-hmm.
and then goddess Kali is really famous too because she cuts their heads off and drinks their blood, and
Yeah.
the black magicians and the sorcerers, they love goddess Kali.
Right.
They even think she's a demon.
You know what? I mean, let's face it, religion has done that with ancient gods and pagan gods from different cultures, and I think they brought them together and put them on the demon list. So I could see why people would think that.
Yeah, that's really true.
Yeah. So, okay. So she is the goddess of time. So
Yeah.
from here.
So, if you want to approach it like from a spiritual perspective, she's the one to look at because, we're so fascinated by time. It's unbelievable.
Right.
I mean, we kind of know that time is a creation of the human mind. And that, from a certain viewpoint, time doesn't really exist. It's just it's a mental creation.
Right.
So, it goes into like a lot of different areas. Like we're here because we're manifesting our own reality.
Right.
And then there's layers of time. There's time hijacks. We're on a timeline right now, which was hijacked, and it's not the original timeline, and it's not the right timeline.
Okay, so I'd like to learn more about that.
Yeah, me too.
What brought you to this? It sounds like a bit of a matrix thing.
It is a matrix thing.
Okay.
And I want to tell you something about what they refer to as the glitch in the matrix.
Okay,
Mhm.
perfect. I
Yeah,
love it.
the matrix is the glitch.
Matrix is the glitch. Okay, you're
Really?
definitely going to have
Yeah.
to verse
Explain
us
that
on
one.
that one.
Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. We love learning new things, so we're very
Yeah. Okay.
enthusiastic.
This kind of goes into like the spiritual side a little bit too, because in the original place, the place where we come from originally,
Mhm.
it's not the material world.
No,
It's
no.
it's a spiritual world.
Yes.
Okay, so like when you hear people talking about the spirit world, where you have ghosts and spirits and all these other type of phenomena,
Right.
the spirit world is in the material world. Okay,
Hmm.
that's the location. But the location of the spiritual world is a completely different place.
Okay.
It's the original place where we started out. But what happened was that the living entity, in the spiritual world, for some reason, had a material desire.
Mm.
Okay, so once that material desire manifested in the heart, Lord Krishna takes that entity and sends him or her right
Mhm.
down into the material world. And not only sends that living entity into the material world, but Lord Krishna goes with that person into the material world.
Mhm.
Because your separation from the Godhead never happens.
Okay.
There's never any separation from the Godhead, ever.
Right.
Even these people that, like evil scumbags and things like that,
Right.
they, they have a connection with the Godhead. They're just not acting upon it.
Right. They just don't. Yeah, they don't care. They have another agenda. Here's a question, Amelia. Can you see
Yeah.
that one?
Thank you. Yes, Jenny. Is it Jenny?
Yeah.
Yep. Sorry,
Jenny.
Jenny. Asked, how did it get hijacked?
Boy, that's a great question. I've been asking that question myself for years. Like,
Okay.
how did they
Yeah.
do it? Okay. Now, a lot
Mhm.
of people think that CERN had something to do with it, or maybe CERN did it.
Mm.
That the Hadron Collider.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. So when do you think it actually occurred? I mean, some people tell you they feel like they've been living in this for a millennia.
well, there was a civilization called Tartaria,
Right.
and Tartaria was they had developed all the Tesla technology with free energy, and they made buildings that had a resonance effect in the way that they built it, and they were drawing energy from the atmosphere and creating electricity, and they had moving sidewalks, and they had all kinds of amazing architecture and technology, free energy, all kinds of things that you hear about that never seem to come forth as something
Mm.
that we have access to. But something or somebody hijacked that timeline. And what you wound up with is what you see today.
Mm.
Sidewalks, highways, telephone poles, transformers, cars, buses, airplanes, bombs, guns, government,
Mm.
money systems, cell phones, computers, vacuum cleaners, and toilets and all kinds of other things
So
that
I
we
guess
have. All of these things didn't exist before.
AI, as Adrian says,
Yeah,
AI has
AI
glitched.
is a big factor in this.
Wow.
Okay. Now, I want to talk about that a little bit because
Yes, please.
most people think that artificial intelligence is that off switch that you have
Hmm.
in your washing machine.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So they think that artificial intelligence is man-made.
Hmm.
I thought that myself. Okay.
Wow.
But artificial intelligence is what I call the universe on automatic control.
Hmm.
So in other words, you think about your heartbeat for a minute. Okay, you don't have to think about your heartbeat.
Right.
You're not thinking beat, 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 all day long. As soon as you fell asleep, you'd probably die because you don't have to think about your heartbeat,
Right. Right.
but it beats on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the planets going around the sun. They never collide into each other,
No.
right?
Perfectly synced.
Artificial intelligence is controlling the
Everything.
automated part of existence.
So it's not just here. It's like you're saying it's within the whole solar system, galaxy, universe. I mean, what is the whole gambit?
Yes. Artificial intelligence
Wow.
is an aspect of consciousness.
Somebody might look at that and go, what? Because consciousness is spiritualism, it's essence, and how does that fit with artificial intelligence, which is pretty much about itself?
Well, artificial intelligence is neutral, so it can be used for good or evil.
Yeah,
But I want to get back to the glitch for a minute because I
absolutely.
kind of lost my train of thought there for a
Now
minute.
we're just following along.
Okay.
Right,
Now, what I was explaining about the spiritual world,
right,
the material world is the glitch.
right. Yes,
It's not the original place.
right. No, I agree with you.
It's a place of chaos.
Yes.
I mean, if you look at the historical records of the Mahabharata, which is the compilation of 10,000 books from India,
Mm-hmm.
these historical records go back millions of years. Okay, even in the ages that you would consider, you would think that they had a peaceful existence because their intelligence was like 1,000 times more sharp than what we have now. They had wars and conflicts and bloodshed. Every aspect and area of history is full of bloodshed and war and violence and chaos and everything else.
Right.
So, all the stuff that's going on in the world today is not unique.
Mm-hmm.
So this material world is like the glitch that happens when the living entity has a material desire.
Mm-hmm.
And the Vedic text refer to it as Maya, which means illusion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So here you have illusion is like the basis of the material world. And then you have all these humans that create deception on top of the illusion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So now you unravel it. You expose the deception and you're still left with illusion.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Right. It's like the film. You're eating a steak, right? And you think you're eating like a steak. You can taste it, but it's not real.
Right. It's like me thinking I'm here in this material body talking to a computer that's, showing me two people on a screen.
Right. Right.
Yes. So, this whole thing about the material world is that, okay, once you tear away the deception, the illusion and the deception are so similar to each other.
Mm-hmm.
Once you remove the deception, you still arrive at the illusion.
Right.
So it's hard to distinguish the two of them.
So how do you do it? How do you escape the matrix, so to speak? Is there a way to do it? I mean, how do you get out of it? How do you go back to where we're supposed to be?
I find that the best answer for me is chanting mantras.
Right. Okay. Right.
Okay.
That's Buddhist. Yeah.
Yeah, there's mantras in the Buddhist religion
Right.
and Hindu and even Christianity has mantras.
Right.
The chanting of mantras, like for me personally, I can only answer it like from my own personal perspective. Like if I cook a meal, let's say,
Mm-hmm.
I place it on the altar in front of the deities, and I chant mantras,
Mm-hmm.
like make it into an offering.
Right.
And
Right.
in this way, the deity that I'm offering it to accepts it and consumes it, and then I eat it.
Right.
So what I'm ingesting is spiritual energy because it's been offered to the Godhead, and the Godhead accepted it.
Right.
Okay, so you know, we're talking about freedom and escaping. I understand what you're saying. I understand how you feel,
Mm-hmm.
but we're not really free. We're bound. Like if you're in a spiritual path,
Mm-hmm.
you're free from evil.
Right.
But if you want to be free from the spiritual path, you can go the other direction and become evil, and you're free from spiritual.
The
Right.
spiritual path, you're not really free from evil. Sometimes you're fighting it.
Right, you're fighting it, but you're also free from it.
Right. Okay. Well, we've got comments and a question.
Lots.
Okay. Amelia, here's one.
Oh, yeah. Tamara says Edgar Casey explains that the Atlantis people came here in spiritual form and took on physical form.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes, that's exactly right.
Question there.
Mary, now she's not trying to, she said,
Gonna
I'm not
give-
negating, just
trying to
looking for an
understand.
explanation, just
Yeah.
trying to understand. She
Right.
wrote, I always thought things like consciousness, thinking, beliefs were not quantified. An actual brain or body or blood is visual, can be quantified. So what is this glitch? That's what we're trying
I'll
to.
leave it up so you can
Okay.
see it. Yeah.
Okay, what she's addressing is the mental platform.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right now we're in the awake state. Okay? In the awake state, you're on the mental platform. Okay? So everything that we're trying to comprehend and understand in the awake state is happening through the mental platform. Okay? But there are different states of consciousness. Like what happens when what happens to your ideas when you fall asleep?
Mm-hmm.
You
Dreams.
don't have any ideas.
No, it's everything's dream form. But are you
Right,
traveling? Are you like what's
right. And then there's the dream state.
right?
And then there's astral projection.
Right.
Okay, so you know, I have this saying, which is, if you wanted 48 hours of world peace,
Mm.
you'd have to figure out a way to put every person on the planet to sleep for 48 hours.
Yeah, that's,
Right?
that's no lie.
It's true.
I mean, you know,
I would probably
And even
work,
then, you think about the ones that travel while they're asleep.
right? I mean, you know, when you're sleeping, you're not smashing televisions with a sledgehammer,
that's true.
right?
Yeah.
You're not harming anybody. You're just resting, right?
Mm-hmm.
But sleep is a legitimate level of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
Just
Yeah.
like dreaming is consciousness. But you know, as soon as you wake up in the morning, it's like, you know, you turn into a mental case.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
I got to do this. I got to take a shower. I have to go to work. I have to pay the bills. I have to put gas in the car. I have to talk to so and so.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you get like a beehive in your brain. As soon
Right.
as you wake up, it's like, oh my God, I have to do all these things.
It's robotic. I mean, you have to go out to earn a living. I think part of it, and you know, let me know your thoughts on it, but it's almost as though they want to just keep you so busy. Some people work 2 jobs, you know. It's like, how do you focus and find realization as to what is actually going on if you're too busy making money for the man and buying the products and
Yeah.
drowning yourself, immersing yourself, so you're not even, like we were talking about this a bit on the last show with Who You Know, Truth Seeker. Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're just so immersed in technology. Like they're talking about this whole metaverse thing, and all this 3D technology and working with avatars. Where, for example, you're out in a forest somewhere, but yet you won't go walk in a forest somewhere for the
Right,
real thing. We're not connected to the planet anymore, I think.
right. It's sort of getting back to the hijack of the timeline.
Yeah.
We're in the hijack state. I think we're slowly coming out of it.
Okay.
There's a lot of energetic things that are happening that you kind of have to look for these things because they don't come out like in the mainstream, and they'll come out by an individual, but there isn't any sort of loud glaring announcements about all these cool things that are going on in the world. You have to look for it, you know.
Right.
But in the previous timeline that we used to be on, you didn't have this treadmill of having to go get a job so you can have money so you can buy a car and have the car so you can go to a job.
Sounds like, being a flower child in the 60s. It's all love and life and good times. But when do you think this kicked in? So when do you think this was hijacked? When did it really change, do you think?
I would say roughly a couple hundred years ago.
Okay.
Maybe as early as 150 years, going back. That
Wow.
they're finding these buildings that that the architecture, the structure of it is so complex that it's nothing like what we could build today.
No.
And not only that, but the way that they built them was so that they could pull in what they call resonance from the atmosphere and turn it into free energy.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yeah. No,
you
for sure.
can't make a profit off of free energy.
No. Sorry, Mr. Tesla, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, so,
For sure.
kind of led to his demise.
yeah.
No.
So we're kind of I guess the best word to call it is like a reboot of the timeline we were on previously. And you could probably do a whole podcast just on that because
Oh, yeah. I mean,
it's energetic, and the nature of it is energetic.
and what should people be looking for? Like, do they have to have this awakening? I call it an awakening, waking up from all of this, because it really does feel like you're sleepwalking in a dream state. Sometimes it just doesn't make any sense. But what should they be looking for? How do they know if they're waking up? How do they know if they're going to be part of this reboot or if they're just kind of getting left behind?
Okay, I did a palm reading,
Yes.
and then I sent you a reading, a
Yes.
dice reading.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to talk to you a little bit about that because
Okay.
the way that these words are arranged in the reading is that they're in the proper alignment.
Right.
Okay, so let's say we're in a dialogue and we're talking to each other.
Okay.
Okay, a lot of what we're saying to each other in like everyday conversations isn't necessarily words that are in the proper alignment.
Okay.
And we talk to each other like that because we have these phantom personalities that were created as a result of, our parents gave us a name, and then you get a social security number, and you're either male or female, and you're expected to get a job and go to college and get married and have children and work
Mhm.
all your life and drop dead. That's basically it. That's the program.
Right.
Okay. So like the way that we talk to each other, maybe not right now because we're sort of tuning into these things that we're talking about. But a lot of the conversations that people have are out of alignment.
Mm.
Okay, so what happens in a dice reading is that you bypass the thinking mind. Now you're tapping into the subconscious.
Right.
And the alignment of words in the subconscious are all properly aligned.
Right.
So that's why these readings have such a powerful effect, is because the alignment of the words and the proper alignment tunes you into your true magical nature.
Mm.
Okay, I have a question. I don't know where it fits in here, because when you were saying that we're basically living and, working and end up, eventually passing away, of course, as we all do, or passing on, depending on how your perspective. Who decides who's elite?
Okay. Good question.
You decide.
Well, I have the royals on the brain today, so I'm just curious. Who decides who's elite here?
What bloodline?
Yeah, because not everybody works and pays bills. Some people don't have to pay a bill their entire life. Some people do charitable work. Some people go on to help, third world countries. Not everybody does. The majority of us do over here, but the third world countries don't live that way. They live what I would say in a more spiritual way, more grounded.
Right. Yeah. You decide.
What do you mean I decide? I decide?
Yeah.
I would. Decide. Oh my gosh.
It's your decision.
Even with royals, papacy, spiritual leaders, Dalai
Whether
Lama.
if it's maybe it's just an observation, maybe it's an assessment, might even be a judgment.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's the way that you see it. Okay, like there's a difference between personality and self-image.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Of course.
I'll give you a good example.
Okay.
Rodney Dangerfield.
Right.
Okay. Rodney Dangerfield, his self-image was 0.
Hmm.
His personality was 100.
Yes.
Okay.
I love Rodney Dangerfield. I did.
His personality was completely developed.
Right.
But his self-image was 0. Okay.
Right.
He's telling you that in his jokes.
Right. Yes.
He's telling you, hey, look, I'm a loser.
Yes.
My wife's a loser. My kids don't love me. I'm not in good health. I'm not happy.
Mm-hmm.
And all these jokes that he makes, he's projecting to you who he is. And that's why he's so goddamn funny. And that's why they love him so much, because when you hear these jokes, you're thinking, that's me. That's my life.
Right.
Yeah. Well, the greatest comics really do live the greatest pain. That's why they can be taken. I think a lot of the reason why people, a lot of the reason why people laugh is because they're almost in shock that it's coming out, kind of thing, and they can relate. Also, Man on the Moon, the one that played Latka on Taxi, I can't remember his
Andy's something or other.
Yeah, Jim Carrey played him. He was the same way. Tremendous amount of pain. Richard Pryor, tremendous amount of pain. Tough upbringing. Eddie Murphy.
Right.
These are comics. We won't mention the old guy that just got out of prison. I just have to say that because I think he needs to go back. But anyways, we'll leave that one alone. Justice doesn't always prevail. And there's a reason for things. I believe in some ways that was a great setup if it was masterminded from somewhere else, because it brought eyes to where it needed to be. Mary says, Richard, Robin Williams, huge, happy in public, sad in his life, as he thought, but more than we ever knew. He has to be my ultimate favorite. I felt the greatest loss, which is really strange, when he took his life. Andy Kaufman. Thanks, Janie. Hi, Janie.
Thanks, Janie.
Yes. That film is unbelievable. And when you see that pain, I can't argue what you say when you say you choose it, because spiritually we believe we write our path. So it's the same kind of perspective. I have a hard time when it comes to royals and papacy and Dalai Lama, because Dalai Lama is chosen in a spiritual, that's the belief.
But if
You
they
are
believe
born,
it's
it's
a
reincarnation.
bloodline here, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
but Dalai
well,
Lama is like a reincarnation, right?
yeah, yeah, you're exactly right on all those points.
mhm,
Russell Brand did turn
Exactly
his life
right.
around. Thanks, Trish. Hi,
mhm.
Trish.
Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, Trish.
I think that there's like a big part of us that has this sort of anger and frustration towards the elite because they seem to be like manipulating and controlling the narrative. But
Mhm,
I just think that they think they're doing that, but they themselves are being controlled.
mhm.
At some point, I think you have
Yeah.
to sort of transcend the anxiety and the anger towards
Mhm,
them because each person is sort of like uh, think of it this way. God is here in a way, but he hides inside of a human being.
mhm,
He's hiding inside of each person,
mhm.
and the ones that discover this Godhead within them, they sort of radiate this alignment that I was talking about with the word.
Right.
I want to tell you about something that happened when I was
Okay.
talking to a friend of mine. His name was Augusto.
Okay.
I was talking to him, just like I'm talking to you right now, and we were discussing these same sort of topics, okay?
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden, I see like this change in his face, and his body started like, uh, I could tell just from a physical and facial expression, something was
Mhm.
happening, you
Right.
know? And I didn't know what it was. And then he looked at me and he said, "How did you do that?"
Mm.
And I was like, "How did I do what?" He said, "I don't know what you're doing, but it's working."
Outstanding. I'm trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
So
Right.
what was happening was I was talking in a way that these words that I was saying were in proper alignment,
Mhm.
and the resonance of the words was also in alignment.
Right.
And what happened was he got the resonance, and he got it. He got the energy,
Mhm.
and he had a revelation.
Wow.
But
Okay.
it wasn't really the content of what I was saying. It was the vibration of the words and the
Mhm.
sound of the words.
How everything resonated.
It's the resonance.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
So that's what I was trying to explain about the readings is that we don't know how to tap into this resonance in the way that we talk to each other.
Mm.
We're kind of short tempered, we're rude, and we're cruel sometimes, and
Mhm.
sometimes physically violent, things like that. All of those things are all out of alignment.
That's a good point. Adrian said maybe you aligned some or all of his chakras. That's a good point.
Just with, yeah, like
Yeah.
with resonance, and it is
Yeah,
all about vibration and frequency
yeah,
at
Hmm.
the end of the day, right?
yes. Um, like for example, if we're being honest with each other,
Mhm.
and it's coming from the heart, that comes from like the fourth chakra,
Mhm.
which is the color green. Okay, so
Mhm.
if I'm being like really honest and thoughtful, that sort of green heart energy comes from me through my words and through my expressions and things like that.
Right.
And then the upper chakras, sometimes they're difficult to understand because the higher chakras up here are more like telepathy.
Mhm.
And then the top chakra, which is the crown chakra, is
Mhm.
the spiritual identity.
Right. Right.
Hmm.
That's right.
That's a
So,
lot to take in.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So, as Tamara says, it's the divine spark that we all carry, right? So,
Yes, you don't really have to be too concerned about what you're talking about, but it's the way that you say it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
No, I agree. Intention. Sometimes people, you might come across as being really aggressive, and somebody's like, "It's not what you say; it's how you say it."
yeah,
The old term, right?
yeah. When I did that reading for you with the
Yeah,
dice,
yeah,
boy, I picked up on your energy
right,
like really, really in a big way.
right. Thank
And
you.
yeah, and from the reaction that you had from the reading, I could tell that it was really for you because there's some people I pick up, I can tune into them
Mhm.
really in a big way, like with you. I really, really picked up on your energy.
Right.
But there's other people, it takes me time to sort of tune into them. Like I knew this one lady, she was the wife of Dr. Patrick Flanagan, who was a famous scientist.
Hmm.
And he brought me out to Sedona to give a
Hmm.
lecture. And his wife's name was Stephanie. And I could tell she didn't like me very much when I first met her.
No way.
A year and a half later, I sent her a reading, and she wrote back and she said, "I'm totally speechless."
Oh, you're so gentle, though. How could she not like you? You're just so gentle
Well,
and soft
you
spoken.
know, some people just don't like other people. It's just,
Yeah. Frequencies, maybe.
It is. Yeah, it
Yeah.
is a vibration thing.
you like
Yeah.
some people and other people you don't. But what I'm
Right.
saying is, it took me a year and a half to tune in to her because, like, when I did the first reading I did for her, it said that in a previous life, her family was in a village, like a tribe, and that tribe was captured by another tribe, and they tortured her family, and she was forced to watch it.
Oh,
Okay,
Mhm.
gosh.
Wow.
so when I met her in person and I mentioned what the reading said, her reaction was, "Hey, let's go to a restaurant."
She wanted to
Mm.
continue that conversation.
She No, she didn't want to continue it.
Hmm.
Oh,
She
Why not?
tuned it right out.
Wow. Yeah, not everybody's.
that's going to be hard to heal, though, when you do that.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, a year and a half later, I tuned in.
Hmm.
I didn't know I was tuning in, but the reading came out. It had her name. It explained how she felt about herself and other
Hmm.
people and about life. And I sent it to her. It totally blew her mind. Totally.
It was meant to be.
She was never expecting it, and neither was I.
Right.
Okay. So I want to tell you this other story that happened in Sedona while I was there.
Okay.
There was this couple by the name of Christy, and then there was her husband. I can't remember his name. But then there was this other guy by the name of Jade. Okay. And Jade was sort of like romantically in love with this girl, Christy, who was married to this other guy. He was like really infatuated with this girl, Christy. And he saw me as like competition or something. And he was a Scorpio.
Ah.
You know anything about Scorpios? They can really,
My whole family is Scorpios. One of
man,
them's in the chat room.
Scorpios. Oh man, they
I
can
get
just.
along really well with them because I'm Pisces, so I'm okay with them.
Yeah, I get along with them too, but
Yeah.
they can really spit out the venom.
Yeah, no, she can't. She's sweet as pie.
Yeah,
Jessica's just sweet as pie. Yeah.
yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right?
I don't, because like I said, I don't have that experience, but I've heard other people talk about Scorpios that way because, well, a scorpion, right? The stinger.
Okay,
Yeah.
so this guy was tearing me up like you wouldn't believe. Okay,
Yeah.
so what I did was I had a stack of readings sitting right next to me on the table. Okay, and I had done a reading previously to going to Sedona, and one of those readings was a reading about him. and it had his name on it, and it said that he was the gatekeeper of Sedona,
The
Wow.
gatekeeper of
The gate-
Sedona.
like the protector.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So what I did was
Yeah.
I lifted up the pile, and I just grabbed any old reading that I could find.
Hmm.
And it turned out that it was the reading about him. And I read it to him, and the guy's face melted.
Wow.
His mouth was dangling open, and he stood up and he walked over to me and he hugged me.
Wow.
And a minute earlier, this guy hated me.
Again,
Wow.
vibrations.
So
Yeah.
your readings then basically are attributed to the past or the proper timeline.
Right. What I'm saying is these readings,
Hmm.
they tune into who you are as a person, the
Right.
magical person that you are. King, duke, prince, priestess, princess, queen. You know, there's all of these different titles that you get. You get like a magical name,
Right.
and it describes your nature.
Right.
It's your real nature. And what I was doing by reading this reading I had about him was I was acknowledging his true magical nature as a protector and a
Mhm.
gatekeeper.
Right.
But he was, you know, he had that sort of scorpionic
Hmm.
dead. I mean, it's their nature.
Right.
You
Right.
know, like someone gets bit by a scorpion, and then they say, "Well, why did the scorpion bite me?"
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That's
I
what
don't
the
know.
scorpion
It's
does.
their nature. Yeah.
The nature of the scorpion to
They
bite.
sting. Yeah.
Right.
The stinger.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that's a natural reaction.
And boy, can they sting you if they want to.
Oh yeah.
I'm seeing all these comments about Scorpios in the
I
chat
know.
room by Dave, and I'm just laughing because I've never had that experience with any of them.
Right.
Ruled by Mars.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I get along great with Scorpios.
Yeah, so do
I'm-
I.
I'm a Taurus, so
I get along really well with Taurus, Cancer, Scorpio. Yeah,
yeah, I'm a little yeah.
that's just me.
I
Yeah,
fit the Taurus bill. So
I think
for
the
sure.
only one that sometimes I twitch is Gemini. Sorry, all you Geminis out there. But I think a lot of people have that twitch with you.
Yeah, I know what you mean about
Really
Geminis. Geminis are emotionally high strung.
Geminis, well, they're confused.
Yeah,
They're confused because
There we
there's two
go.
of them. It's kind of
Yeah.
like Pisces. We're swimming upstream and downstream at the same time. So,
I love Pisceans.
thank you.
I love Tauruses too.
Yeah,
Oh.
they're great signs. I don't know. I find them very spiritual and
Those are
compassionate.
two of my favorite signs. I think my number one favorite sign is Sagittarius.
Hmm.
I just totally love Sagittarians.
What is it about Sagittarius that you like so much?
They have a perspective,
Right.
and Sagittarius is the archer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you know I'm a triple Virgo, and I was born on the eclipse of a full moon.
Mm-hmm.
So Virgos are like really kind of intellectual types, you know.
Yeah, I have issues with Virgos. Not you.
So when Virgos and Sagittarius get together,
Right.
Virgos are kind of cerebral, you know, like intellectual.
Mm-hmm.
But Sagittarians are they're the archer with the bow and arrow, and it's a half man, half horse, and it's the sign of the perspective. So what Sagittarius does, which is really complementary to a Virgo, is they take the precision idea of a Virgo and they cast it out into the sky.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Okay, sometimes my niece is November 21st, so she's right on the cusp of Scorpio and Sagittarius.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's an interesting cusp too.
Yeah.
Right. So I had
Leo
something
and
coming
Cancer
up in
has
here.
a lot of similarities. Oh, he's answering Mary. They're right
They're
next to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
they are
right,
right
okay.
next to each other.
Right.
Yeah, what
Okay.
My
what
husband's a
was,
Leo. Yeah.
what was the comment? I didn't get a chance to read it all.
Okay,
Oh,
which one is
sorry.
it?
Mary
a few
asked about
comments.
Leo
Which
and
one are we at?
Cancer, and Dave Petrella, who does astrology, just said Leo and Cancer have a lot of similarities. They're right next to each other.
Yeah,
Leo
that's
is the sun,
yeah,
Cancer is the moon.
yeah.
Right. Right. Exactly. And so
Great when you have an astrologist in the chat room.
Geminis.
Gemini's dual personality. Sometimes you don't know who you're dealing with. I was married to.
Ouch.
Gemini.
Ouch.
I have
Right.
every sign in my family. I mean,
Yes.
all 12 of them, because we have a big family. So yeah, I can list if you look at the people that my frequency doesn't rub well with, it's usually Virgos. It's hilarious.
Virgos they're a piece of work.
Yes.
Wonderful
people.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of famous Virgos like Michael Jackson and quite a
But
few
we
others.
won't go there with Michael Jackson.
Well, the thing about Virgos is like the story about the turtle and the rabbit.
Mm.
They're in a race, and the rabbit is Gemini because they're the fastest, and Virgo is the turtle because they're the slowest.
Right.
So what happens is that the Gemini rabbit is running to all these places real fast and talking to all his buddies and his friends, and the turtle is just moping along real slow.
Mhm.
And in the end, the turtle wins because it didn't stop anywhere to associate with anybody.
Right.
And that's kind of like what Virgo is. Kind of like the most non-event sign in the zodiac.
To one of my mentors is a Virgo, and he's probably the only one that is a Virgo that is that close to me in my life. But anyways, we could go on and on with the zodiacs. That's
Yeah.
a whole other show. But it's funny how everybody's so interested, right? Because we always want to know more about ourselves, and the zodiac's fun. Honestly, it is a lot of fun to see things.
Yeah, I got used to Western zodiac, Cancer and Leo and Virgo and all these, the sort of Western perspective of astrology. I got from a magazine, like when the Beatles came to the Ed Sullivan show. There was a Beatle magazine that came out, and it had all the astrological signs of the four Beatles. Like
Right.
John Lennon was a Libra, Paul was a Gemini, and George was a Pisces, and Ringo was Cancer.
Right.
That was like my introduction to astrology.
Oh, wow. And Trish said she's a Gemini here. You're
Yeah.
good, Trish. You're good. There's two of you. You never get tired.
That's right. Gemini is the twins.
Pisces is the worst sign because we're swimming upstream and downstream at the same time. We're that confused.
Well, let me tell you something about Pisces.
Uh-oh.
Well,
Now I'm like, maybe I shouldn't have said anything.
it's true. I'm just going to tell you straight. If you can exercise self-control, that's the key to everything for Pisces, because Pisceans, they have the tendency to go towards the alcohol or the cigarettes and the drugs and the partying.
Oh, I'm not.
Bubbles, you're just a party animal in disguise.
I'm a really boring Pisces because
Okay,
I don't do any of that. Yeah.
Right. Here's the thing about Pisces. If you're a sober Pisces, man, you've got it.
Well, thank you. I've been
Yeah,
sober
you've
for
got it.
years. Yeah, I can't drink. I have one drink, I'm under the table. Like I
Yeah.
can't hold my liquor to save my life.
I'm telling you right now,
Yeah.
you are lucky.
Thank you.
You're very, very lucky to be a Pisces and not be addicted.
No, I think it's because I'm the 19th of March. I'm pretty close to Aries, but I do have a lot of the characteristics of Pisces. The daydream.
Yeah, I know Pisces, and it's exactly what you say.
Yeah. You'd probably be a very, very strong Pisces being so close to Aries, because
Mm.
Aries is a power sign.
Yeah.
Mm.
But Pisceans are very, very skillful.
Oh,
Okay. Very skillful, very intelligent.
I thought we were dreamers.
They are, yeah.
Already did that one. Sorry.
Yeah, Pisces is the dreamer.
Yeah, very much
Right.
so. Dreamer,
Pisces is the
artist.
dreamer,
Yeah.
But think about what you're dreaming about.
Oh God, I don't know everything.
You know, you're thinking about possibilities.
Yeah.
Mm.
You're thinking about potentials. You know, you're thinking about how the world could be peaceful.
Peace. Oh my gosh, it's like you ripped it
Right?
right out of my brain. Yeah, I just
Yeah,
was thinking that.
that's it. That's the dream.
Mhm.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's like the collective dream that we all sort of have this idea that the world could be at least more peaceful than it is now. But it could never be completely peaceful because the material world is a place of chaos.
Right.
Yeah, I was
Right.
never that
Right.
that partier. Yeah.
There's been periods of peaceful history,
Mm.
but only short periods. And then, you know, look what happens when you start mingling with someone that disagrees with you or someone you
Oh,
don't turn into
as a Pisces, it's not good.
a,
Pisces want peace. They want peace in their family and their friendships. They want peace. I don't tolerate gossip in my circle. I think it's got a lot to do with the sign. I really do.
No.
You know, it irritates me. I don't like to see people fall or fail. I like to see everybody succeed. And I get angry if, you know, I don't like confrontation. I'm only confrontational when I'm pushed. I feel like that's where I'm a Scorpio. You push me and my tail comes out and smacks you. But
I'm on the same boat as you.
yeah.
I have a moon in Pisces.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it can be irritating. It can be hard being Pisces. I think it's hard for all signs to accept that part of them that's not as positive, right? You know,
Yeah.
so
I already
and as
accepted. I'm a Taurus.
you're a
We
great,
really are
we get along
bullheaded
really
and
well.
stubborn
So
and aggressive and
oh, I see. I don't think so. My dad and you are only 2 days apart on your birthdays, both
Taurus,
Taurus and both.
Taurus
You're more gentle than you know.
yeah, Tauruses are wonderful.
Yeah, shh,
you
don't tell
guys.
anyone. She really is gentle.
You're killing me.
Don't believe the hype. Yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
I love Tauruses, especially
nurturing,
women
caring.
Taurus.
Yeah.
The one sign I don't get along with very well is Cancer.
Oh, I do. Yeah.
Me too.
Some
I
of
was
them
married to
are
one.
real good, you know, but
Was.
the sign Cancer, they're born to aggravate.
They are what?
Born to
Born
aggravate.
to aggravate.
Born to aggravate.
I
I
like
find cancers can be very passive aggressive
Right.
and very much a victim.
Yeah,
And I find a lot of cancers are
yeah,
narcissists as well. So
yeah, that's exactly it.
yeah, they do have narcissistic tendencies. Do you agree with me, Dave? But anyways, they do. They don't realize it.
You hit the nail on the head with that one.
Yeah.
No, and the thing about it for me is my rising sign is Cancer.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I try to keep that aggravating.
Cancers are not morning people.
control.
Oh God.
You know,
Right.
so I've got Pisces and Virgo, and they're opposite signs.
Mm.
So, you know,
Yeah,
the Virgo is sort of like a professor in ufology.
Mhm.
Pisces is like, hey, let's party.
Right.
You know, Pisces is the fun-loving
my case is let's eat.
party. You know, and then Virgo, which is the opposite, is like the intellectual PhD in ufology,
Mhm.
a walking dictionary of facts.
Right.
And
Right.
you put the two of them together, and it's like totally crazy.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
Yeah, I try to. I mean, it's always good when you get the old cliche line, "What's your sign?" I think it's
I
a good
know.
question because right off the bat, you know who you should be staying away from, who you can be compatible with. I think it
Yeah.
should be a prerequisite.
We have to be
So,
careful. Mary's a Cancer. She's like, that's a Cancer. I will listen with a giggle. I love Cancers. I get along with them really well, but I
right.
know them very well and I know the tendencies. They
Mhm.
are so similar. My friends that are Cancers that are different ages are so
Right.
similar in
Right.
personalities. And I just know when to just like back off and not push
Right.
Yeah,
things.
they're
I
not,
read them very easily.
cancers aren't usually mean spirited. It's like we were talking about Scorpio. Scorpio will sting you. It's their nature to sting. But
Mhm.
with Cancer, it's their nature to aggravate.
Right.
But it's not mean spirited.
No, it's just
Mhm.
the way
It,
they are.
it's
Yeah.
their personality.
Well,
Right.
Wayne said he finds Geminis to
Yeah, let me
be,
just bring it
no,
up.
you're not bad at all. I get along really well, Robin, with Scorpios. I love Scorpios. I found Gemini to be able to see both sides of a situation and can easily understand both sides. I
Mhm.
feel that with Libra as well.
Mhm.
Libra is
Libra,
always the peacemaker and never ask Libra where they want to go to eat. Just saying.
Mhm.
I didn't know
Never
that.
ask them a question that they have to answer. Not what movie do you want to see? Where do you want to go eat?
Oh,
Do you want to go
yeah.
for
Okay.
coffee?
Yeah,
They are
right.
indecisive. They can't make decisions. It's the biggest joke we have going because a
Mhm.
friend of mine, both our daughters are Libras. We're like, don't ask them
Right.
because
Right.
we're going to be here for hours. Really, we're
Okay.
going to be here for
Right.
hours.
Here's a quote by Aleister Crowley, who was a Libra.
Yeah.
He said, "I gave my life to God, but I don't know which God it is."
There we go. I was going to say
I
what?
like that. I'm going to write that one
Yeah.
down. I love that. Yeah.
No, for
That's
sure.
Libra.
They do love to
They,
talk.
they
Cancers
can't
love to
they can't
talk.
make a decision.
Mhm. No.
It's the balance. I like
Such
Libras
a
too. They're
balance.
humanitarian.
Right. Right.
David Sarita. Do you know who he is?
Yes.
Okay,
I've heard the
David
name.
Sarita went out by himself and planted 1,100,000 trees.
Trees. Yep.
That's amazing.
Libra,
Yeah, it's amazing.
you
That is
know,
amazing.
Libras do things like that because they love humanity.
Hmm.
You know, uh, Dr. Patrick Flanagan was a Libra.
Hmm.
Let me tell you the story about the reading I sent to him.
Okay.
I watched some of his earlier videos when he was younger, and I did a reading and I sent it to him. And part of the reading said, "The Porsche goes over the cliff."
Uh-oh.
So I didn't know what that meant, and I thought, well, I don't know if I'm going to send this, but I sent it anyway because I thought maybe it meant something to him. Okay,
Hmm.
he got the reading, and 3 days later, he woke up one morning and he went, "That's it, I got it." Alex, a friend of his, went over a cliff in a Porsche.
Wow. So it's like anything else. It could have a delayed reaction, right?
Yeah. So what happened was this guy Alex, as he was, going through the air in his Porsche, Sai Baba appeared in the car and embraced him, and he walked away without a scratch, and the car was totaled.
Wow.
Wow.
Okay, so Patrick Flanagan called me on Skype and he said, "My guides are telling you what to send me."
Hmm. And did they?
I think so. I mean, I believe so
Right.
because
Right.
it's a lot of people think that this type of divination is channeling, but it's not really.
Hmm.
It may be similar to channeling in a way, but what you're tapping into is the subconscious mind, and the
Hmm.
subconscious mind is connected to the Akashic records.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Right.
but it's not like a Ouija board because And a Ouija board, you're like, okay, who's out there,
Right.
right? But you don't invite strangers into your home,
Right. Right.
right?
That's a good way to put it. Yeah.
So why would you invite a strange spirit into a Ouija board?
We have that question, that we have that discussion all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, like there was a story about a Ouija board in Fitchburg, Mass, which is where I'm from.
Right.
And once they realized that there was a whole bunch of bad energy coming from this Ouija board,
Mm-hmm.
they threw it in the fire, and they heard,
Oh no.
Right. Right.
the entity that was in the Ouija board was screaming when they threw it in the fire.
Right. Yeah, it's really tough because unless you actually bind them in there, they could just, they could get out fairly easily.
Yeah, the Ouija board is sort of like riding a wild bull and trying to stay on it.
It can. For
Yeah,
sure.
with no net.
Yeah, it can.
Ouija boards, you have to be very careful because you could risk an attachment, and then it's not even about the board; you're the walking planchette. So that's a huge discussion.
So basically, when you're doing your readings, people just tap into the Akashic records. It's a tap in. It's completely different. You're tapping into the individual. You're tapping into their file, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, like the reading I did for you. Okay, here's how I did it.
Okay.
I don't want my thoughts to interfere with the reading.
Okay. Right.
So what I do is I address the oracle and I say, Oracle, please send me a message from the oracle of Michelle DeRocher.
Right.
Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm approaching my oracle and asking your oracle
Right.
to step in with a message.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that way my thoughts and feelings don't mix in with the message.
Right. Right. You're just leaving it to these two otherworldly beings to do the connection.
Right.
Right.
And all I'm doing really is just translating the letters into words and sentences.
Right.
So, I want to tell you this about the dice method too, is what you're doing really is you're hacking the Akashic records.
Can you explain that, Jim, to people that don't know what Akashic records are?
Yes.
Please.
Okay. Inside the earth, you have millions and millions of crystals.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And crystals have the ability to absorb knowledge and information.
That's right.
The DNA in your bloodstream is the same. It's exactly the same as the crystals that are inside the earth. Okay, so the Akashic records is all of the events of everything that ever happened contained not only within these crystals that are in the earth, but contained within your DNA.
And lineages. Right.
Yeah, a lot of people don't understand that. And it's funny because they'll find it difficult to believe, but yet they don't get the concept that their watch is a crystal movement. It's quartz. It's similar in the sense that it retains information and it expels energy. So just to keep that kind of example in your mind when you're trying to grasp how the crystals of the earth are retaining all of this.
Well, we're talking about the outer realm here.
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
The outer realm.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's where we're going.
Right. That's definitely name appropriate for everything that we tackle.
Absolutely.
Everything on the edge.
I'm not one of these types that really cares about if somebody thinks what I'm saying is the real deal or anything like that.
Yeah.
Nobody knows
I don't
what's
think
real.
about that very much.
No, but who knows what's real and what's not? I mean, in the last 2 years, without saying the C word, because we don't want to get ripped off of the YouTube, but
They're a little sensitive.
they're a little sensitive with that word.
Yeah.
So we can't use the word, it gets flagged, and then we lose our spot for a few weeks.
Yeah.
But you know, without the last 2 years, I find that a great way to look at what's happened to us in this world is that we're getting a chance to just stop and listen. Michelle has said that quite often, where you're in realization because you're home, you're more present. You know, a lot of people couldn't work. So there's a lot of positives to what happened. I like perspective in every way I'd like to always look at the positive side of things. So maybe it's a Pisces thing, I don't know, but I think a lot of good came out of it. And it's really putting us in a place to wonder, where are we? What are we? And what is happening? You know, we've got vehicles that drive themselves.
Yeah, I've been teaching this dice method to a lot of people for several years now. And the thing I kind of realized was I found myself saying, don't do that, don't do that, don't, you know, over and over and over again, because the way it works is, you know, we're trying to comprehend these things through the thinking mind in the awake state. And the whole idea of the purpose of the dice method is to expand your thinking from one-dimensional thinking into multi-dimensional thinking. So what you're doing is you're sort of observing your thoughts. Okay, it goes like this. Let's say you get the dice. You throw them. Okay, so what it's doing is capturing your thoughts from the subconscious mind, and they're manifesting in these letters. Now, I want to tell you this about it too, because I thought about this a few days ago. For 50 years now, millions of people around the world have been doing dice divination. They never knew it.
Okay.
50 years ago, Campbell's put out this dice game with letters.
Yeah.
Okay.
For the alphabet soup.
Exactly.
Right.
That's it. Campbell's alphabet soup. Okay. So now they get these letters, and so, let's say they're playing this game. They're thinking of a word, and they throw the dice. There's the word. And then they look at the word and they go, "Oh, I was just thinking about that word, and there it is on the table."
Like alphabet cereal, same idea.
Right. But they're not realizing that it's divination, and that the letters are capturing their thoughts from their subconscious.
You know, I completely agree with you on that theory. And I'm going to go back to the Ouija board, and please give me your thoughts on it. It's like when people are sitting down and playing with these boards, they don't realize that your thoughts can actually control everything. When I had an investigation at one point, and I've talked about this before, where my thoughts, it's only happened one time that I know of. You know, they were recording the session, and I was sitting there worried about my daughter who was at home not feeling well. And I made a comment about having to get home to her, and it projected out onto a voice recorder. So we're really strong we're strong beings.
Exactly.
And we can definitely project out intention. And I mean, we can create like psychokinesis, telekinesis, all that sort of thing. So
let me tell you a true story. I just found out about this a few days ago from a friend of mine from Norway. And he was telling me that, years back when he was doing the psychedelics and that sort of stuff, he learned how to project an image of himself onto a photograph.
Ah, interesting.
So he'd have a photograph of the woods, let's say.
Yes.
And he would project an image of himself being out in the woods. Okay. And then what he did was he then projected a second image of himself being in the photo. So there was two images of him in the photo. And then the second image was projecting another image into the photo.
So how many of these spirit photographs do you look at, which could actually be human projections?
Well,
If
let's
you're
say,
saying
that,
it's
let's,
true.
say there was, let's say there was 3 images of him in this photo.
Right.
What happened was he couldn't find his way back.
Oh, okay. That's interesting. So what
That's
happened?
creepy.
That is creepy. Like,
Yeah, because we don't know what we're doing with this stuff.
Is the photo another dimension?
Yes, but the thing about a photo is a blank photo is a spectrum, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And that spectrum is sort of like when you turn on the radio and there's no station,
mhm,
you get like
Right.
that white noise.
right.
Mm-hmm.
hmm
There's your spectrum right there. Well, in photography, it's the same thing, but that blank photo
hmm
kind of like the interdimensional realm.
It's like the belief in some of the indigenous peoples, throughout history, especially when cameras became a thing, they would not allow their photos taken because they believed that it would capture their soul.
Mm-hmm.
Right, exactly.
Italian culture used to believe that as well.
And according
Long
to
time
you,
ago.
it can be a thing.
That's
Yeah.
kind of creepy. Now I'm wondering if my great grandmother was right.
So what happened was he did eventually find his way back out of the photo. But what we're talking about here is a projection into a spectrum, and then a second projection, and a third projection. One spectrum on top of another and another.
Right. Right.
It's like time travel.
Right.
But I would never do it myself because how do you know you're going to be able to come back?
There's no guarantee with any of that.
No. Getting back is the problem.
There's one of our guests we had not long ago, I can't remember who it was, said you can travel forward but never back.
Well, back is a lot harder.
No, but they said
to the past.
you can't do it at all. But a lot of people have gone from the future. Well, I don't know if it's true, but I mean, the stories are that they come from the future
government
back.
stuff and
Yeah, so I
military
don't.
stuff.
Well, yeah, like photos with cell phones and whatever recorders and.
Yeah, the thing about going into the future is that it's much easier to go into the future because it hasn't happened yet. It's a potential.
Right.
But if you believe in interdimensional, it's ongoing. It is happening right now.
Yeah, so I think we're going to take a vote here and say you can go either way.
Thank you. Because
Right?
that's what I thought. I was really
Right.
surprised, right, when I
Here's-
heard that. But I'm always
here's
open-minded
Trish's
to
comment.
everybody's. Trish Mo, you have to do it on portal days. Otherwise, you're stuck in that loop. What's a portal day, Trish?
Well, that's new to me, but I think it's true. I think it's.
Yeah,
I think there's such a thing as portal days.
I've never
Right.
heard that. I'd love Trish to explain that one. Yeah, Trish is a host on our network.
Yeah, I have a time machine here that I bought from Steve Gibbs, but Steve Gibbs built the time machine after I showed him how to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I sent them the schematic.
Oh, it took her years of repeating years and cycles to figure that out. We need to talk. We need to talk.
We see portals all the time.
Yeah, we need to talk.
I tend not to dismiss things that other people say because they're having perspectives that I've never seen before or maybe never thought of, but that doesn't mean that they don't exist.
I like Dave's point, and then we have to do a station ID because I'm a couple minutes behind. The 2 solstices and 2 equinoxes, they are the 4 gates.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
So do you do that? We'll
On
continue.
that note, you are listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and myself, Amelia Pisano. Our guest tonight is the fascinating Jim Girouard. He's live here with us, coming right to you from the beautiful city of New Orleans on 105.3 FM radio. We are streaming on UFO Paranormal Radio, International Public Radio, and a bunch of other Facebook pages that I am not listing. Our intro and outro is courtesy of award-winning composer Dr. Snick, the Sonic Surgeon. You can find him on Amazon, Bandcamp, Facebook, and Instagram. His music is amazing, and that's his voice you hear. So make sure you stay to the very end. Also want to thank our sponsors who are with us from the very beginning and the reason that we're still here. We love you. Folgers Coffee. Best coffee ever. No one loves you more than Michelle. And I thank you for sponsoring our show. Thank you for supporting us, Folgers.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Back to Jim.
This three-way dialogue is really amazing to me because it's always been like one-on-one, for me.
Right.
But the three-way dialogue is just much more powerful, I think.
No, thank
I
you.
think so. With
I
the
think
three
so, too.
energies. I'm really enjoying this. I'm always open-minded to everybody's thoughts, and I'm a little hesitant and quiet at first because I have to get to know and understand because we're learning every day. We're
That's
all
true.
learning. And I mean,
Yeah.
if Trish didn't tune in, I wouldn't have known about portal days. Like
Portal
I'm
days.
grateful
I
she's
want a
in the
portal
chat
day.
room.
Mind you,
Yeah,
we see
and
portals
then
all the
Dave-
time. We do.
Yes. And
Yeah.
then that's why I didn't understand portal days because portals are ever present in our visions. But and then Dave answering that. Mary says maybe the past has already happened and we've already been here. Maybe one word or gesture has changed it. Maybe we're talking about Stephen Hawking's party that never happened. Stephen Hawking, I wonder where he is right now.
The past, present, and future are all happening right now.
Yeah.
Simultaneously.
Yeah, they're all happening right now. But what happens is, the thinking mind, mental platform, the awake state separates everything and fragments everything,
Mm-hmm.
defines everything.
Right.
And that's what you call separation.
Mm-hmm.
Amazing.
Yeah, we're separated from nature.
Are we ever?
Well, I think that's the goal,
Yeah.
right? That's the goal. It's important for us. We talked about this just recently,
Mhm.
how divided and how technology dependent we are
We
as
really
a
are.
society, and it's really, really sad. But you have to do what you can at home. Like I don't allow cell phones on the table. I just don't. So they're not allowed in my kitchen unless you have an urgent call that you're waiting for or whatever. I don't like to see them on my table.
I turn off my cell phones all day long. I have them
Yeah.
turned off and at least 3 or 4 feet away from me.
It's
Mhm.
I don't want to hear the phone ringing.
how many times Michelle and I have had a conversation and then I'll show her on Facebook that this advertisement just came up. I'm like, look at this.
They're
I don't have a
listening.
smart TV, but I do have my phone with me when we're working. So I kept my landline, and that's my saving grace, and I will stand by it. I swear you should keep a landline, turn your cell phone off. Anybody that needs to get a hold of you, that it's urgent, will call your house. Anyone else, it doesn't matter. They can leave a voicemail on your phone. You need to disconnect. It's going
In
to
many
change
ways.
your life.
Well, you need to connect
Yeah.
to the right things,
Yeah.
right?
Let's say a 9-year-old girl gets a cell phone. Okay.
Yeah, not in my house.
Okay.
Yeah.
Mhm.
9-year-old girl gets a cell phone, turns it on every day, puts it in her pocket, takes it everywhere she goes,
GPS.
and does this for 10, 15 years. By the time she's 24, she gets married, can't have children.
Mm. Yeah.
You know why?
Mhm. Well, it's the signals. It's
Radio frequency from the cell phone is frying her genitals.
Yeah, a lot of things, even with like I know I had a bad habit when the phones were small where I would just put it, in my shirt kind of thing. And I remember somebody saying to me, you can get breast cancer. I'm like, what? And I stopped, but I've never been one to be attached to my cell phone. So I'm a little bit different that way, because when you work from home, you don't really need it as much.
Yeah.
But
when I go out, I never take my cell phone with me.
there is a great meme that I actually saved, and it's a photograph of a wired telephone, an old rotary wired telephone. And it said, when these were wired to the walls, we were free.
Exactly.
Now we're attached to these phones. And that's exactly what that conspiracy is, right? That they want you to be disconnected, so you can't feel any remorse, or because when you're here, it's easy to insult and offend.
Exactly.
It really is.
Yeah. That's why, I like talking on Skype or video chat or Zoom, things like that, because I can see you and I can hear you and I can see your facial expressions. But a text message or an email,
Very impersonal.
that's not real life to me.
No.
It doesn't mean anything to me.
No.
So you say you don't take it out with you.
I don't. Well, I do take it once. If I go to the dentist,
Right.
I take it with me to the dentist.
Save me.
That's it.
I like the dentist's office.
Yeah.
Right.
I need to use it when I go to the dentist, but that's the only time I ever take it with me.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
I've read so many things and saw so many videos on how smartphones especially can affect you. And there's so many damaging things from it, and you're paying for it.
Big.
Yeah.
Big.
Stay
So
wired to whatever you can. That's
you're
all I'm saying.
basically off the grid.
No, I'm not off the grid.
You're not off the grid.
No, I'm not off the grid.
But you're off the radar, so to
So,
speak.
as much as I can possibly be,
Right.
I try to disconnect myself from all this electronic stuff.
Right.
Because at the same time, I love it because I can go on the internet and I can be interviewed or I can make videos. I mean, do all kinds of things with technology. It's just that, we have to figure out how to create technology which is non-damaging.
Right.
I know. I remember when I first got my books in here. And I thought, oh, I'm being really smart with this because I've got my books in here. And then I missed the smell of the paper. I missed the interaction with physically holding that book. And I realized that all this is coming off into my face, and I started to get a little frightened by it. I'm not saying that a cell phone will give you cancer, but I'm not saying that it doesn't.
No.
It's just too scary.
Everything comes with a price.
Microwaves too. You're supposed to stand so many feet away from them when you're using them. How many people are heads in the glass? Is it bubbling? Is it boiling? Is it bubbling? Is it boiling? And I don't think it's a good thing, but
I stay away from the microwave section in Walmart.
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Oh, just from the boxes.
Well, I don't like being exposed to radiation of any kind.
Yeah, I don't eat anything that comes out of there.
The way that they make these products and put them out on the market is, let's say they come up with a new type of food, right? But what they do is they hand a spoonful of it to somebody, and that person swallows it, and if the person doesn't die, they put it on the market.
Oh, that's a really good question. Mary J. Gast asks, how about uncreating technology?
Well, I don't know what that means exactly.
Dismantling what's already set up. It's not going to happen, but it's a great...
And taking away the technology that's already there, I think, would be really difficult. You'd almost have to go live on an island and
let's talk
community.
about DNA for a minute, because we're basically functioning on two strands.
Yeah.
And there's about 12 strands in all. So if the third strand opens up and then the 4th and the 5th, all the way up to the 12th. We're not going to need technology.
No.
Mm-hmm. No, I agree.
We're just using it because, the 5 senses are so limited. And then with technology, we can reach out and we can communicate across the globe.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're doing now. We're thousands of miles away from each other and see each other and hear each other. It's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But when the junk DNA wakes up, none of this stuff is going to be needed.
Right. Right. And when do we anticipate that happening?
For some, it's already happened.
Yes.
There are some children in China that are being held in quarantine by the Chinese government because their junk DNA woke up. And there's one kid in particular who has the ability with his mind to shut down all the computers in the world.
That's
Wow.
dangerous.
Okay.
Wow.
That's what your DNA can do when it gets woken up.
Right. And how does one wake it up? Do we dare say on the outer realm? Do we know?
Okay. Scientists have discovered how to do that.
Right. Right.
But who's doing it? Who can afford it?
Ah, there
Oh,
we go. There we
yes. The
Right?
self-chosen elite.
Right.
Right.
The
There we go.
multimillionaires can get their DNA woken up. But here's the other thing. That the Nazis during the 1940s figured it out. Okay?
Yes, it is.
And what they
Yeah.
did was when a man got married to a woman, they
Hmm.
did a blood test and the man was matched up to the woman through the blood test. They didn't even know each other.
Mm-hmm.
They probably didn't even like each other.
Right.
But the children that they had were extremely strong, extremely fast,
Mm-hmm.
extremely intelligent.
Are they in those Olympics right now?
Mm.
Yeah, I mean, they were super kids, super children,
Right.
because they figured out certain blood types, certain genes, certain DNA matched up with the right
Yeah.
person.
Well, Stan Lee kind of figured that out in one of his films.
Superhumans. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
He had that going on in
Yeah.
in one of the more than one.
The one thing the Nazis didn't anticipate was the fact that if you have billions of people on the planet, eventually there's going to be 2 people that meet that have that perfect genetic match, and their child is going to be born with the woken up DNA.
That's scary.
But it happens spontaneously.
Right.
Like you meet somebody and you like that person likes you, and you get married, you have a child. Super
There
kid.
it is. Yeah.
Super kid.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
funny because I remember being told a theory even that there will be a whole pile of new souls coming here also that have never been here before. They're not recycled essences at all, and they're going to be coming here, and they're going to be completely of pure essence, and they're going to be coming into maybe these super
Newbies.
kids, and they're going to be just brilliant and
Yeah.
outstanding
Well,
and spiritual and
scary as
gifted.
oh my God, that is scary
If that's
AF.
a fact, that's something else, isn't it?
Something I'd like to tell you, but I'm going to
Yeah.
have to tell you off camera.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
We're not turning that down.
Fringe benefit of being the host.
I don't want you two to get your channel knocked off because of something I said.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I think right now the big thing is just the C
The
word.
C word.
That seems to be the flag.
Yeah.
Everything
Yeah, I
else, we have people come up with some real doozies. Just
Yeah. I call it
Yeah,
the 2-year vacation.
The YouTube especially is gone so batshit crazy that you can't say a word that starts with any letter in the alphabet.
Well,
No.
they get sued a lot. That's why.
Yeah, it's true. It's getting
Yeah.
pretty bad. question going back, just back to the divination for a moment, your technique. You can read people basically by, whatever letters they come out with, but you can actually use your technique to decipher, let's say, book codes, etc., Bible codes, maybe.
Yeah.
We spoke about that briefly.
Some of these, let me explain it this way.
Okay.
Part of learning this method is to sort of figure out what it can be used for.
Right.
Okay. Now, I found that it's really good for locating missing people.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so what happened was I saw this poster of a missing girl. Okay. So I was just kind of starting out. So I pulled down the poster. I took it home. I sort of focused on her picture and her name. And then I asked the oracle, where is this girl? And I got the name of the street, the town, the fact that she was with her boyfriend, and then
Mm,
leaving for Texas the next week. Okay.
wow. Wow.
I get on the supermarket, and there's her family putting up more posters on the telephone pole.
Right.
Okay, so I walk up to him and I say, I know where she is. I know what she's doing.
Mm-hmm.
I know what street she's on, what town she's in, and her and her boyfriend are leaving for Texas next
That's a
week.
big chance that you
Okay.
took.
So you know what happened? They all just stood there staring at me, and then they turned around and walked away.
Mm,
Sometimes when you give that kind of information to a family, they don't know what to do with it because it's not what they expect. They expect to get hard information from police officers or,
Oh, let me tell you what
people who have
happened.
seen her. I know because I've worked in missing. It's a tough one to be on that end of where you were, even though you were chosen to give that.
Okay, let me tell you what happened when I took the same reading and brought it to the police. Crumbled it up, threw it in the trash.
mm.
Yeah. Well, you're lucky they didn't make you a suspect because that's the next thing that happens when you go to the police.
Mm.
Yeah,
You
that's
become a
part,
suspect if you have way too much information that's not out there.
that's part of why I don't do it.
Well, what you need if you ever want to do it is you need a connection with law enforcement that stays anonymous. You stay anonymous and you work with them, and it has to be confidential and it has to be just between the two of you. And you have a lot to give if you do get that opportunity. I think it's fantastic.
Yeah, so what I was trying to get at here is if somebody's learning this dice method, um, like a lot of people think that you can use it to like win the lottery.
Yeah.
Now, if that were possible, somebody would have to focus their attention and have a tremendous amount of determination and do a reading like every single day for months at a time until they could start getting some kind of a focus on the numbers.
Right.
Okay. But, like I got an email one time from some 16-year-old kid from California saying, hey, how about if you send me the numbers to the lottery?
Doesn't work like that.
He's
Yeah.
16, can't even play.
So,
Yeah.
I wrote him back this really nasty email saying, you're an idiot, you don't know what you're doing. And he wrote back and he was just happy as hell that he aggravated me. He got me irritated.
Right.
Yeah.
He was like glowing,
There's that saying, with great gifts comes greater responsibility.
Right. But not for a 16-year-old.
No, I mean for us, like people often ask the silly question of the lottery numbers, and they don't realize the responsibility and what happens with something like that.
Yeah. It took me 3 years to learn how to do the dice method because, I didn't have a mentor.
Mm-hmm.
There was nobody there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, I asked every stupid question you can think of,
Right.
about meeting the girl, about winning on a scratch ticket, every question I could think of, because I was testing the system.
Mm.
So one day I asked the question, am I going to win on a scratch ticket tomorrow, which is like a Wednesday? And the word hex came up. So I thought, well, hex isn't good. That means
No.
I'm not going to win on this ticket.
Hmm.
Okay. So the next day, which is a Wednesday, I went and bought a ticket, and it was a loser. And I was just happy as can be that it was a loser because the reading said it was going to be a loser.
Right.
It was a
Right.
validation.
Right.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is I never continued with the idea of trying to get the numbers for the lottery,
Hmm.
which is possible with remote viewing.
Right. Right.
The remote viewers can actually do it.
Hmm.
Okay. But here's the other thing. You can do remote viewing with the dice method.
Hmm.
You can ask a question to the oracle. What is the remote viewer seeing?
That can get technical.
It'll tell you.
That can get illegal.
Hmm.
Just saying.
The other thing that happens with these dice readings is you get tarot card readings
Okay.
and you get I Ching readings
Hmm.
because it tells you. It spells it out. It'll say tarot cards, pentacles, the 10 of pentacles for
Hmm.
some reason comes up every single time. The 10
Hmm.
of pentacles.
Right.
Sometimes the 10 of swords or cups or whatever.
Right.
And sometimes I get an I Ching reading.
Hmm.
Okay,
That's really interesting.
here's the thing. This information that you're getting from a reading, it has the day, the week, the month, the town, the country, the year, the name of the people, the street, the event, the problem, and the solution.
Hmm. Right. So,
It tells you everything in detail.
mhm. And the technique is accuracy, percentage of accuracy. What would you
Yeah,
gauge it at?
getting the words is pretty much like staring into a crystal ball.
Right.
Because what happens is when you're staring into that crystal ball, your vision gets a little blurry.
Mm.
So when your vision gets blurry like that, this is sort of like the what that guy was saying about the equinoxes
Yes.
being the gateway. But
Right.
when you're falling asleep, right, and you're halfway between awake and sleep, it sharpens your psychic focus,
Hmm.
and that's when you get like a flash image or a sound or a word or something like it. Sometimes it comes as an entire sentence.
Hmm.
Sometimes I get like an entire song or a lyric with the melody and the chords, like all in one sort of flash.
Right.
So
Right.
it's that in between zone, like between awake and sleeping, where your consciousness is it's like sharpening a knife.
Hmm.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm just letting everything you're saying compute. So,
Yeah. So what you like what I tell people about learning the dice method is you get the dice and do a dice throw every day for 3 years,
mhm. Wow.
and you learn it. You're gonna learn it.
Wow.
Because what I tried to do was come up with all these shortcuts and explain, all these things, techniques about how to get the words and all that. That doesn't work. What does work is you do it the way I did it. So
Mhm.
what you're doing actually is you're inventing a divination method yourself.
Right.
But there's no way of learning it.
Right.
Someone writes to me and says, "Where are the instructions?" There's no instructions.
No.
It's
I
just a
can have
matter
a,
of what
I have
comes
a
up for
mentor.
you, right?
There was nobody to me to ask questions to.
I think
Right.
people are so used to buying a deck of cards and it comes with the book and how to start it, how to end it, and
Mhm.
to protect them and everything. But what it doesn't teach you is how to read, because if you can't read,
That's
even
true.
though they tell you anyone could
What
read
it
these
is, we
cards, yeah,
can't
you can
read.
literally read them, but you can't
Right.
spiritually read them. The
Right.
reading's going to be different if a medium's
That's true.
handling them, a psychic, rather than
Yeah.
someone who's not.
Hmm.
So,
7
but
weeks.
always remember there's a market for everything and money talks. So
Yeah.
use that in mind when you're purchasing these things.
Okay. 7 weeks before I went to Sedona, I asked the question, "Who am I going to meet when I give this lecture?" And I got the name Christy. Okay. So 7 weeks later, I was walking up the street towards the mountain, and I looked down in the gutter, and there was a snake skin. So I
Mm.
was looking at the snake skin, and I was thinking to myself, the old me has just died away, and the new me is now reborn.
Right.
Okay. So as I was standing there looking at the snakeskin, this car drove by me, and it was Christy in the car with her husband. And she looked at me, and she turned to her husband, and she said, "I feel like I know that guy."
Wow.
The next day, I gave my lecture, and I said, "Is Christy here?" She was sitting right in front of me, waving, and she goes, "I'm Christy." And I said, "Well, I came here from Massachusetts to meet you."
Right.
She was the one.
Wow. That's
I
crazy.
got her name 7 weeks before. Okay. So I handed her the dice. I said, "This is what you do. You throw the dice 5 times. We're going to
Hmm.
write up, I got a big piece of cardboard about yay big with a magic marker. And we decoded the letters into 4 words: Aries, adopted, dragon, and Zorro. Okay.
See, how would you know what the heck to do with that? They're very like random words.
Let me explain that later.
Okay. Okay. Well, we only have
We're
about like
actually
5 minutes, so
Yeah, not even.
we're at the top of the hour.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got these 4 words:
Right.
Erie, dragon, adopted, and Zorro.
Right.
Hmm.
So she says, "My sign is Aries. I was adopted. I was born in the year of the dragon."
Okay.
So I said to her, "What does Zorro mean?" She said, "My husband dressed up as Zorro at a party."
There we go. Okay. So
Oh
it meant
wow.
the words that mean something to the individual, clearly.
Exactly.
Right.
That's
Okay.
what I'm saying. Millions of people have done this with the alphabet dice game. They've been
Right.
doing it for 50 years. I never knew it was divination.
Right. But yeah,
They're
it's your energy.
it's only a game. It's a game.
Right.
Okay, so I turned around with the cardboard and I
Hmm.
showed it to the crowd and I explained to them about the 4 words and how she threw the dice
Hmm.
on the letters. We made the words.
Right.
It
And
was
there it
like
was.
an explosion.
Right.
It was
Right.
unbelievable.
I think it's fantastic.
They got it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Hmm.
They understood what I was telling them and how it worked.
Right.
Cool.
I think it's a great technique. It seems to be easy enough for people to do and understand. It just takes practice, like anything. It's a
Yeah.
projection of your energy. It's intention. It's mindset. It's basically what you put out there. You just have to learn how to decipher it. That's
So,
from what I'm understanding.
do we have time for me to answer your question?
Yes, I'll make time.
She's the one that clicks the off button, so don't worry.
Yeah, go ahead. Please.
Yeah, what was the question?
I don't even remember. How when you get a bunch of words, you're just rolling the dice, you get a bunch of letters, you're putting words together. I mean, let's face it, first off, you could have, like, how many dice do you get in your kit?
You get 36 dice when you order them, but you only use 26.
Okay, so you can pretty much come up with a whole combination of words. How do you know? Yeah, how do you know? Like, how you're just putting together all kinds of words and this whatever mix you can get. And
Okay, let me explain it this way.
yes, please.
Okay, right now you're an adult. Okay.
Sometimes.
I try.
But when you probably don't, when you were so young,
Mm-hmm.
just learning how to like talk and put words together like in your mind as
Right.
a 2-year-old, you would have to think about it and get a couple of words and try to put them into a sentence.
Right.
Okay. You don't do that now.
Mm-hmm.
You don't do that because you've done it so many times. Lightning fast.
Right.
You come up with a sentence.
Right.
In a split second,
Correct.
you have an entire sentence in your mind.
Right.
Okay. Now, when you're looking at these letters, you get 130 letters. It's where the letters are next to each other. Like it might go like this. It might be L-shaped. It might be half a circle. It might be up and down. It might be left and right.
Mm-hmm.
It's fluid. And in other words, like tarot cards is not fluid. It's fixed. Each card in the tarot means something.
Right.
Okay. But a single letter doesn't mean anything.
Right.
So the whole system is fluid because you're holding the dice, you're letting them go.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have all these letters. It's all fluid.
Right.
Because it's fluid, you can get 50 words.
Mm-hmm. And then it's just a matter of how you put the words together and what they mean to you, or because it's your energy, right? That's right.
Okay, so let me ask you this. How do you put words together in your mind?
Very carefully. Sometimes I understand. It just happens.
You
It just happens.
You don't think about how you put words
Correct.
together in your mind. It's just
Right.
lightning fast
Right. Correct.
because you've done it a million times.
Yeah. No, exactly.
Okay, so now you're looking at 130 letters.
Right.
And you're starting to, in the beginning, you're going to see 3-letter words, 4-letter words, 5, 6, maybe, a
Mm-hmm.
7. All the basic, the, and, but, home,
Mm-hmm.
all of these simple 4-letter words, 5-letter words, all the simple stuff when you first start doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But the way I do it now is I can look at 130 letters and I can come up with an entire sentence in about 5 seconds.
Right.
I've done it so many times.
But again, how do you know that it pertains exactly to? I mean, I only say that because, working in my field in the paranormal, things are very subjective, pareidolia, things like that. We can see things that aren't really there. We can hear things that aren't really, we just assume that, let's say that recording said this, and it could be something entirely different. So I'm just playing devil's advocate for a moment. So how do you know you've got the letter or the words in the proper context?
You get the dice and do a dice throw every day for 1,000 days.
Right. And then you pick it up. Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because nobody can teach you this. There's no instructions.
Right.
I didn't have a teacher.
Yeah. No, I like it.
What I was observing was all of these sort of stupid thoughts that everybody has every day of the week.
Yes.
And I was trying to maneuver my way through all of the, daily thoughts that I have I've had all my life.
Right.
I'm trying to find that in between sort of spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
my thoughts and my feelings, and try and develop some kind of a way to find
Mm-hmm.
out, hack into the Akashic records.
Right. Right. And you seem to have found the way
I
because
did.
you've got multitudes of validations from
Oh,
people, which
I've
yeah.
got 100 stories I could tell you.
Right. We'll have to save it for another show.
Okay.
So this is the part of the show because we are over our limit. So this is where you tell everybody how to find you and how they can get in contact with you or find your books. Or...
Yeah. How about if I send you a link to my Facebook page
Okay.
and they can get in touch with me that way?
Yeah, we'll put it on our Facebook page.
If they want to start learning this method,
Right.
I would prefer that they send me 2 photos, one of each palm.
Right.
But here's the thing. I want to talk to them on video chat before they do anything, because if they do anything first and then get in touch with me,
Right.
it creates expectations.
Right.
And
Right.
I don't want them to do that, because then they'll get discouraged and they'll start thinking this doesn't work. But
Right.
yeah, if they contact me on video chat, like on Facebook,
Right.
and I get to talk to them, then they send me
Right.
the photos of the palm, and then they get the dice and start doing the dice draws.
Okay. Well, you can send it to me and I'll put it up on our Facebook page.
That would be great.
Okay. Just, message it to me and I'll move it over and then everybody can see it at that point. Well, thank you for joining us. It was a lot of fun, very informative. I know there's a lot of things that we didn't touch on that maybe we can reschedule you and touch on those things as well.
Yeah, and if you want, once this is over, if we're still like talking to each other on camera,
Right.
I could tell you that one thing that I didn't want to mention,
Yeah, I'll just put you in the green room, because our producer will be coming on, but I'll put you in the green room. So you're not going to be live while we log off. And then I'll bring you back when we're logged off.
That's good.
Okay, so I'm going to pop you right off real quick and you'll be sitting in the green room till we close the show.
All right.
So thank you very much, Jim. And everybody, thank you. We'll bring Jim back because I know there's a lot we didn't touch on. So I'm going to just remove you for a moment. That was fun. My gosh, but we have come to the end already of another amazing segment of the Outer Realm that was super informative. My gosh. And we definitely need to do more because there's definitely stuff that we did not pop you right off. Never mind, Joe. We're not going to go there. It would be you would say it. Anyway, so big thank you to everybody in chat tonight. Honestly, you guys always make it that much more fun. Big thank you to Jim Girouard, who is just amazing, just insightful and a lot of fun. And huge thank you to Folgers Coffee for sponsoring us tonight and every night. Another huge thank you to Dr. Snick, aka Justin Snicker, for providing us with your music and your voice for the intro and outro. And from what I understand, the membership page is now active. So get on over to UFO Paranormal Radio on YouTube and get yourselves a membership. We are now up and running, and I'm seeing on the soundboard here that people are getting their memberships. So you guys will be made privy to some of the more exclusive stuff. So just go out and do it. And if you need to contact us, please go to the Outer Realm contact at gmail.com. Whether you want to be on a show, see a guest on the show, see a specific topic, whatever the case may be. It does take me a little bit of time to get to because I do get a lot of emails, nothing like social media. So I will definitely get back to you. Again, the Outer Realm contact at gmail.com. Find us at Facebook, also the Outer Realm with myself and Amelia, and show us some love, like us up. Tomorrow night, please tune in as we welcome, for the very first time, a real sweetie, Nicole Antoinette. She is an angel communicator, psychic mentor, and the owner and force behind Guiding Echoes. And you want to hear all about it, you've got to tune back in. She's just awesome. You guys are going to love her. So until then, we thank you and have yourselves an amazing evening. Good night.
You have been listening to The Outer Realm with Michelle DeRoche and Amelia Pisano, airing live every Wednesday and Thursday evening, 9 to 11 p.m. Eastern, 8 to 10 p.m. Central, on the United Public Radio Network, 105.3 FM in New Orleans.